Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chloe. If you're new here, thank you for clicking on this video. I mean, if you're not new here, thanks for clicking on the video anyway. It means a lot to me. Today's video is going to be my September TBR because I have decided that I am going to partake in the magical readathon. It has another name. I can't remember what it is. Some kind of like Academy of Orilium, something like that. I can't remember what it's called. G over at Book Roast is hosting a magical readathon, and she has done this before, and I believe this is like a completely redone version of it, so that's very exciting. I have never partaken in it because I never really used to do readathons until I started BookTube, so I am taking part in this one and I'm very excited for it. I wasn't planning on taking part in this one actually, but I saw the announcement video for it and it just made me really excited. The kind of theme of this particular readathon is kind of like split between multiple times. I believe that this is going to be the first part and then the next part is going to be at the beginning of 2022. This part of the readathon is essentially a little bit of a journey. It's called the novice path to the Academy of Orilium, I think. The prompts are based off of different obstacles that you meet along the path you meet on the way to this academy. So they're kind of the main prompts, and then there's also some other prompts to do with character building, because in this readathon you can build your own character, which is a very exciting part of it, and I think the thing that most drew me to doing it. I will be talking to you guys about the character first, I think, and then I will be talking to you about the journey and the prompts for that. Bearing in mind I am not the most creative person in the world, and I'm also very indecisive, so I had a lot of like decisions to make in terms of what my character was going to be like, and I'm not good at making decisions. So there was 5 or 6 different like species or like races or something like that. There was then 4 different continents that your character could come from, and then the choice of whether your character is urban or more like rural. My character goes by the name of Demeter, and I think that's how you pronounce it. Demeter I just stole from the Greek goddess for, I don't even know what she's, like the harvest or something, which now I think about it doesn't really make sense because of my character, but it doesn't matter. Basically the reason that I went with this name is because my name is Chloe, and Chloe is an epithet of Demeter, and I thought that was cool. So I was like, technically my character is called Chloe, but it's not really, it's called Demeter. They are going to be an Iltyrian, and the thing that kind of sold me on this, because I wasn't sure whether to be Iltyrian or elf, the thing that sold me on it is the fact that Iltyrians are basically vampires, but instead of turning into bats they turn into crows, which I thought was very cool. And also it is coming up to spooky season, so like a vampire-like creature is really cool. So that is what I'm going to be. Another thing that also sold me on it is the fact that in the particular area that my character grew up, there is this massive library sort of underground, which the Iltyrians usually work at, so my character will work at that library. I can't remember what the library's called. You can tell I'm really prepared for this. So Demeter is an Iltyrian, and they live in Dark Meadow, which is known to be the roughest terrain, the roughest area on this planet, and basically everyone lives underground. So they do live underground, they live in a town slash city underground, and therefore they are also urban, like an urban creature as well. So that's basically it. And now I'm going to tell you what books I am reading to fulfill the prompts. The prompt for Iltyrian was to read a book that I think either had crow in the title or on the cover, or to read a book with a red cover. And the book that I decided to go for was The Merciful Crow by, should have looked this up before I did this, by Margaret Owen. This is a book that I don't actually know too much about, but it's got crow in the title, so I was like, let's just roll with it. It's been on my TBR, like my not physical TBR, for a while, and I can get it on Libby, so we're gonna go with that. The prompt for Dark Meadow, which is the area where they live, is to read a dark academia. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to read for this, so my initial thought was to read, what's that book called? I can't remember. So ideally, if I can get my hands on this book, I am going to choose We Were Villains. Everyone knows We Were Villains. It's basically described as being The Secret History but drama instead of literature. So that is the book that ideally I will want to go with. If I can't get my hands on that, I will choose another book. And some of my options are Plain Bad Heroines. Again, I don't know if I want to pick this one just because I kind of want to wait until I have the physical one. We'll see what happens. There's also The Truants, which is another dark academia that I heard about ages ago that's on my TBR. There's also one that I found recently that is called The Temple House Vanishing, and I really don't know much about both of these two books. I was just like, we'll just put them, they're dark academia, so I can't really say which one I'm going to read. But they're basically my options. If you have any recommendations out of those four, like any that you think I should go for more than the others, then tell me. And then I'll definitely take that into consideration. The prompt for Urban is a book that's set in a city or a town. For that, I'm going to be reading a book that I'm actually buddy reading with Leah, Sarah and Lauren. And that is Jade War by Fonda Lee. I read Jade City. I buddy read it with those three lovely humans and some other people as well, and that was a very, very fun time, so we decided to carry on the series. This one's a bit chunkier, which I think is going to be good. I'm not averse to chunky books. Like, I used to not really read them, but I quite like them now. I don't really have much else to say about Jade War. It's just carrying on from Jade City, and I'm excited to read it and just see what happens with the characters. So some of my favourite characters are Andon, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and I can't remember what her name was. Shay? Was her name Shay? I think it's Shay. Those two people. I really like them, so I hope that good things come to them in this book. Now we are going to be talking about the journey that my character is going to go on. And basically there's 7 prompts, I think, for 7 like obstacles that they face along the way. So let's just talk about them. First of all, we have the Novice Path entrance, and the prompt for that is to read a book with a map. I think the intention with this is that obviously to go on a journey you kind of need a map to figure out where you're going, because I'm pretty sure they don't have GPSs. Therefore, the prompt was to read a book with a map. The book that I'm going to be reading for that prompt is Akawa by Sarah J Maas. I'm very excited. I read Akamath last month, well technically this month when I'm filming it, but I don't know when this video is going up, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I've heard that Akamath and Akawa are kind of the two that people go between in terms of which one's their favourite in the series. So, oh, the stickers on the back. What's the, I don't like that. I think this one's a little bit longer than Akamath, and I am so happy for that because I just want to read about these characters more and more and more. So I'm very excited. I have nothing else to say. I'm just very happy to finally be getting to this. I have got multiple books on my TBR with maps. Jade War was actually one of them, and I've got another one as well, but I put this first because I want to do the prompts in the order of how they come, and this one's then going to be the first book that I read this month. So I'm very excited. The second prompt for this journey is Ash Torn Tree. The prompt is a book that keeps tempting? The prompt for this one is a book that keeps tempting you. So there's quite a few books that I've sort of gone back and forth between when it comes to like wanting to read them or not. Ones that I found myself more recently leaning towards and then being like, I might wait a bit, are The Push and Eve Brown. Act Your Age, Eve Brown is called. And with The Push, I think just because it's a thriller and it's been so hyped up, I'm so worried that like it's just not gonna fulfill everything that people say about it, and I don't want to read it and then be disappointed. And Act Your Age, Eve Brown is the last book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. I mean, they're not like in order or anything like that, but I have read the other two, and once I'm done with Eve Brown, I'm just worried that I'm just like not gonna have anything else that I want to read in terms of like contemporary romance. I don't read a lot of romance, but when I do read it, it tends to be more the contemporary stuff, and the Brown Sisters trilogy has definitely been the epitome of what I would want in a contemporary romance, so I don't really want to leave them, but I also really want to read Eve Brown, so I will pick between those two. The third prompt is For the Mist of Solitude, and it's to read a standalone, so there's loads. The one that I have my heart set on is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donohue. This is just a book that I've basically wanted to read ever since I heard about it. It's basically set... I want to say it's set in Dublin, and I want to say it's set during the early 1900s maybe. It's set in a maternity ward, I know that, and it's set during a pandemic. So I'd guess it is during the influenza, like the Spanish flu pandemic, I think is the one that was in the early 1900s. And a lot of people are like staying away from like pandemic literature. Is that a thing? Literature, like books involving pandemics. I think it's just really interesting to read books about things that are very similar to what you're going through in real life. Ever since I heard about it, I've wanted to read it, and then I saw it was on Libby. So once again, I will be reading it as an ebook, but I'm very excited to read it. I have heard it's very graphic, which is something I very much enjoy. Although saying that, it is graphic in terms of childbirth, and one thing that I am actually scared of is childbirth. There's something about it that really puts me off, but luckily I'm not at that stage in my life yet, so I think I'm going to be alright. The next prompt is for Ruin of the Sky. Is it called Ruin of the Sky? Yeah, Ruin of the Sky with an E at the end. Fancy. So this one leans more towards like the spooky season kind of vibes. The prompt is to read a book featuring ghosts, haunted houses, ghost or haunted house or other supernatural elements. So once again, I've got two options. My main option for this is to read The Nature of Witches. I can't remember who it's by, I just know it's got witches in it, and I like witches. Witches are cool. That is kind of my main thing, but once again, it's on Libby. I might not be able to get it. I have put a hold on it, so hopefully I should be getting it. It says 4 weeks on the hold, but we'll just see what happens. If I cannot get my hands on that, I will be doing a reread of Pet Sematary by Stephen King, and I just need to reread this in general. I can't remember when it was I read it, but like I definitely need to get to this at some point. I love this cover. It's so retro and lovely, and yes, look at church on the front. Woohoo! Is there much to say about Pet Sematary? I don't know. If you don't know what Pet Sematary is about, look it up, because I thought everyone knew what it was about anyway, so. The next prompt is for Obsidian Falls. That is to read a thriller or a mystery book. Obviously I've already got a thriller kind of on this TBR, but the book that I wanted to go for this prompt is Little Fires Everywhere. I've wanted to read this for a while, and I just haven't picked it up. I did read Everything I Never Told You, which is also by the same author, Celeste Ng, and I really enjoyed that. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. It was somewhere between 4 and 5 stars for sure, and that was about last year I think, so I'm just excited to get to Little Fires Everywhere. I've heard that it's one of those thrillers that tackles like important issues, which I love. Horror and thrillers tackling those kind of like real life, everyday important issues that we need to talk about in literature, so I'll be very excited for that. Next prompt is for Tower of Rumination. This is to read a 5-star prediction. I'm low-key cheating with this one, but not really, because let me tell you a little story. Where is it? Come here, my baby. The book that I have decided that I'm going to read for this prompt is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I have read this already. I've spoken about this in a video where I said I wanted to reread it, and now is finally time. It's been just over a year since I read it, and I'm so ready to reread it. People might think I'm crazy for wanting to put myself through that kind of pain again, but the characters in here, mainly Jude and Willem, and essentially the first time around I only gave it 4 stars, and I'm pretty sure that when I reread this I'm going to give it 5 stars, because I don't know why I gave it 4 stars the first time around. I really don't know why, but I have not stopped thinking about this, and it's been a year since I read it, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to give it 5 stars the next time around. So that is the book that I'm going to read for that. The final thing is the Orilium Academy arc. I was right, it was the Academy of Orilium. The prompt for this one is a book with a school setting. I found a book called The Ravens. I'm sure people have heard of it, I just haven't heard too much about it, and all I know is it's something to do with, I think, witches again, and I think some kind of sorority-esque thing. So it's kind of like set at university, and there's something like that going on, so I thought that'd be really quite interesting. And as I said, I'm kind of obsessed with ravens. Ever since I heard about the poem by Poe, The Raven, I don't know why, I just have been obsessed with them ever since. So, ravens and crows, I've got an itchy nose. Ravens and crows, cool. So that is the final prompt for this readathon. However, I do have 2 final books that I want to talk about, which I did not fit into these prompts because I don't know when I'm going to be reading them, and I will probably be able to get them in anyway. So the first book that I'm reading outside of this readathon is going to be The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. I actually put this in my TBR video for last month, and I didn't read it because we're doing a buddy read of this, me, Sarah and Felisa and Jess. So we'll link them down below, as well as anyone else that I've mentioned. The reason that I haven't picked it up is basically because I'm waiting for us to do that buddy read. So we've planned to do it at the beginning of September. So we'll be reading this then. Very, very, very exciting. And I think it's one of Leah's all-time favourite series ever. She loves it. She won't stop raving about it, and I love hearing her rave about it, and I'm hoping that I will have the same feelings for it as she does. So the last book that I want to try and get to is not an absolute priority because I've kind of only just added it to my TBR, but basically my friend Lucy has a book club along with some other wonderful people. I will link them all down below. It's called Besties Book Club, and this is the pick for September. As I said, I wasn't planning on reading it before, so it's not an absolute priority. I will leave the details linked below, but basically it's going to be You and Me on Vacation, which is the English name for the people we meet on vacation. I don't know why it's been changed. It really annoys me when things like this happen, but nonetheless, this is the book I will hopefully be getting to. I think it will be relatively easy because I did read Beach Read and I quite enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars maybe, and it was just a really easy read. So I'm hoping this is going to be the same. So they are all the books that I am going to try and get to in September. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.